Listening to TurkishSoccer.com's Turkish Football and Turkish Super League podcast. Hello, everyone. My name is Ahmet Turgut. Welcome to a brand new edition of Turkish Football and Turkish Super League podcast. Well, in this podcast, we'll talk about what happened in the week 28, and we'll discuss the international break coming up. You know, there won't be any matches coming up this weekend in the Turkish Super League. The Turkish national team will have a playoff match trying to get to from B to A League in the European competitions. We'll talk about that, and then pretty much we'll spend some time on week 28 and then remaining 10 weeks in the Turkish Super League when we see two teams running for the title and 3-4 teams running for the third place and fourth place, and the bottom of the barrel and danger zone is on fire. We'll talk about that. If we recap what happened this past weekend in week 28, very low scoring in week 28. There were only 21 goals scored. The gap after Galatasaray winning big 4-0 and Victor Osimhen getting a hat trick first time with the Galatasaray jersey. The gap on top is now 9 points. And Fenerbahçe losing points and did not lose the match, but 2 golden points at home. We'll talk about that because they were down. I think they could not beat 9-man Konyaspor in their home turf. Blame it to tiredness after playing early hours on Monday against Rangers team. We'll talk about that. And also another headline past weekend, Beşiktaş lost back-to-back 2 matches. This was actually, Beşiktaş was the one that lost to a nine-man Konyaspor, actually. That is something to talk about. And things are not looking good for Beşiktaş. And relegation zone and danger zone, as said, hotter than ever. The one team that I want to talk about this podcast, Bodrumspor, ever since the new coach, Jose Morais, the former assistant coach to Jose Mourinho, took the Bodrumspor in their last 6 matches. They earned 14 points, and they haven't lost a match. Guess what? They're out of the relegation zone, and they're still in danger zone. That's why I keep saying this, from the 17th place to 8th place in the league, it's going to be on the fire last 10 weekends. Because the teams on the bottom at the relegation zone keep winning their matches. The teams with 35, 36 points are still in dangerous place. Now, the biggest race, as you know, the championship, the title, is right between Galatasaray and Fenerbahçe. There's no way Beşiktaş could capture them. There's no way Trabzonspor will capture them because they're way, way behind. So right now, the third place team, Samsunspor, after tying with, I believe they had tied with Fenerbahçe in Istanbul. That was a very boring match. Fenerbahçe played against Samsunspor and tied 0-0, 0-0. So 2 golden points. I talked about that, even though Samsunspor played probably last 20 minutes of the match with 10 men. I apologize. In the beginning of the podcast, I said 9 men, but it was 10 men. But in the very seconds of the minutes of the match, Fenerbahçe tried to score. They could not do it. I think Samsunspor goalkeeper played fantastically in this match, saved a lot of goals. And Trabzonspor with the new coach, Fatih Tekke, won an away match. This was the first away match win for Trabzonspor. They beat Başakşehir with a score of 3-0. So with the Trabzonspor being at the 35-point mark, they are still in the danger zone, if you ask me. And because remaining 10 weeks, they have very tough matches coming up. And we're going to be talking about, as you know, the Turkish national team will play their first match in Istanbul against Hungary, March 23rd. I believe it is on Thursday, which is tomorrow. And then they will travel to Hungary on March 21st on Thursday, which is tomorrow. And they play in Turkey, in Istanbul. That's the first leg match. And March 23rd, they will travel to Hungary to face Hungary. So it is 2-leg match. And the winner of this both matches will advance to A-League in the European competitions. Turkey needs this because trying to get to the 2026 World Cup will be something plus for the Turkish national team. And Turkish national team players are already training in Istanbul. And also, I mentioned to you last weekend, the Turkish national team will be camping in the month of June in United States. They will have 2 friendly matches. The tickets are already on sale. The first match will be happening in Connecticut, and the second match will be happening in North Carolina. As we get close to that date, we'll talk more about the Turkish national team, their travel, and we'll talk more about it. But if you want to buy tickets in Connecticut and North Carolina, the tickets are on sale right now online. You could buy them, I believe, if you go to any of the apps that sells tickets for these matches. Turkish national team, the first time they cross the ocean. The other side, it was back in 1995 when first time they traveled overseas, over the ocean, Atlantic Ocean. It was 1995 when Fatih Terim was coach, along with assistant coach Rasim Kara. They came to Toronto. They played 3 friendly matches there. I was there. I will talk about that. And then their Turkish national team, other U.S. camps after that. We had one on 2010, 2014, and we'll talk about that too. But overall, as I said, the competition in the Turkish Super League, when we go into international break, the gap on top, 9 points. As I said before, Galatasaray, since they were eliminated by Alkmaar team in the Europa League matches back in February 20th, Galatasaray, for 3 straight matches, they did not win match. Galatasaray, right after AZ Alkmaar match, they tied with Fenerbahçe 0-0. After that, playing at home, strong Konyaspor, they tied with Konyaspor. And Kasımpaşa, Galatasaray match was 3-3, also tied. Last 2 weekends, after beating Alanyaspor very luckily 2-1, this past weekend, Galatasaray won a huge against Antalyaspor, and they beat Antalyaspor with 4-0 score. As I said before, Osimhen scored hat-trick, and probably, I think if Galatasaray wins the trophy, wins the title this season, they should thank Osimhen. The reason why, Galatasaray is so lucky to have a player like him, and so far he scored 20 goals in the Turkish Super League. He is the top goal scorer. He passed Piatek from Başakşehir, who has 18 goals, and third place team player Banza from Trabzonspor, who has 17, and Fenerbahçe player En-Nesyri with 16 goals. So, coming back to Osimhen, I say Galatasaray is very lucky to loan him from Roma, because if he did not come, and Icardi being injured for the whole season, even though Morato came in and as a loaner too, and Morato, he scored on a penalty kick this past weekend. And what was very good to see, a gentleman that he is, Osimhen, he could have taken the penalty because he takes the penalty kicks for Galatasaray. He offered the service to Morato. This was something to see. That's why I say, when you see Osimhen, if you're a football fan, I don't care if you're a Fenerbahçe fan, Beşiktaş fan, or any other teams in the Turkish Super League, when you see this guy on the pitch, the way he hustles, the way he talks to his teammates, the way he shows his character, it is a huge thing. When I look at the Fenerbahçe team, I don't think Fenerbahçe has a player like him on their roster. We saw that against Rangers. They played good, but they could not score the penalty kick goals. We saw that again this past weekend against Konyaspor. And actually, I'm sorry, Samsunspor. The up front 3-man Fenerbahçe, they're older gentlemen. And even though they help a lot to the defense, and En-Nesyri, Dzeko, but the heart that Osimhen has on this team, I'm saying this as a general football lover for Turkish football. I have not seen anyone like him wants to win this championship. That doesn't mean that Galatasaray is going to get it, because we have 10 more weeks to go and 9 points difference. It's not for sure Galatasaray will be champions, because you got to see it. Remember one thing, in the week 30, Galatasaray will have a bye. Looking at the last 10 weeks in this title race, Galatasaray has some very strong teams that they have to travel to away matches. Teams like Trabzonspor and Göztepe and Samsun. Those 3 teams will not bow down. I could guarantee you, even the home games for Galatasaray, it's not going to be easy. We're talking about 10 more weeks. It's same thing goes for Fenerbahçe too. Right now, in the driving seat is Galatasaray with 9 points. After we come back from the international break, and in March, I believe week 29 will start on Friday, March 28th. That weekend, if Galatasaray, when they travel to face Beşiktaş, if they lose points in that match, and not having a match on week 30, that is going to close the gap. But meanwhile, Fenerbahçe, from today on to the last 10 weeks, you need to win your matches. So, I know my time is coming to end. I want to wish a lot of luck to the Turkish national team. They have 2 matches coming up. The first one will be happening on Thursday tomorrow, and on March 23rd in Hungary. After these matches, I'll come back, do a recap of Turkish national team, and we'll preview the week 29 and talk about that. My name's Ahmet Bob Turgut. Listen to my podcast. Wherever you listen to your podcast, visit me on Twitter, also Facebook.